Just want to remind everybody to please mute your speakers if you would. Good evening. This is the joint committee meeting of the representative town meeting relating to the special meeting of the RTM, which will be held on Monday. The date is December 17th, 2020. The first item we have is regarding an appointment to the Solid Waste and Recycling Commission of Michael A. Pasowitz. Is Mr. Pasowitz on tonight?
Yes, I am on a line.
How are you?
Good, thank you. And you?
Fine, thanks. Can you just briefly tell us a little bit about your background and your interest in this board commission?
Well, I'll start simply with the fact that I've had some recent changes in life where it's afforded me a little additional free time. So I really think it's time for me to get back into the volunteer mode and give some time back to the town. I've been a resident here for quite some time. About me, I mean, I don't know if you have been given a copy of the resume that I had forwarded to the town.
Yeah, we have.
You have. So I don't really think I need to go too much into that. But I spent most of my time in law enforcement, but then been retired from there for almost 11 years, and found myself working in the private sector for a supermarket chain for the most of that time out of New York City. So I have a little bit of operations experience in the world of solid waste and recycling, and had a little bit of interest in the topic, and just thought this would be a good opportunity for me to learn some, go through some new experiences, and like I said, get back to the town.
That's wonderful. Thank you very much for doing that. Does anyone have any comments? I see Representative Georgiadis would like to speak.
Hi, this is Drew Georgiadis, District 9. I've known Mike for a very long time. Thank you for stepping up.
Hi.
Appreciate it. Good. Anyway, I like his wife, his family very well. Over the years and situated for Ludlow High School. Previous to that, he would be he's hard. Can't imagine.
Thank you, Drew. Drew, you were cutting in and out a bit, so maybe check your mic. But thank you. Marcy, Representative Spolyar, please.
Hi, Marcy Spolyar, District 4. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I just had a quick question. Thank you for volunteering for this. But I saw something inconsistent. On the call, it's listed as you as being a Republican, but in your interest form, it says you're unaffiliated. And I just wanted clarification of that, because it's just important when we're looking at future people on the committee that we have a balance.
The unaffiliated is an error. I'm registered as a Republican.
Thank you.
Thanks. Are there any other questions for Mr. Pasowitz? Okay, thank you very much for coming tonight and speaking with us. You don't need to come on Monday if you don't want to, because we already talked with you, but you're welcome to if you want. So thank you for volunteering for this.
Okay, I just don't, is there, then Monday would be the next step at I'm a little bit new with some of this process.
Oh, sure. So Monday is our as a meeting where we'll vote on whether to appoint you.
Okay.
So that'll be.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you. And thank you, Drew.
Next item is to consider the bond resolution relating to the purchase of Giant Steps. And maybe we'll start with the first select woman. I'm not sure which of the folks would like to speak first.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
So thank you. I just wanted to kick it off. So we've this process, some of you may be aware, but I'll go through again. This process started back, I believe, in the early summer when the school administration and the chairwoman of the Board of Education reached out to me regarding some issues they were finding themselves in with the current location where the alternative high school was. And if you remember back then, they were thinking about purchasing that property for the long-term use of our alternative high school. And they were coming across some issues with the diocese and costs and some of the renovations. I know some members went and toured the facility early on just to kind of get a look at it. I had spent a lot of time in that building over the years as a state representative, speaking to students there for different government days and things of that nature. So I was very aware of the condition of the building. And so when the chairwoman in the school district reached out to me and said they wanted to look at another location and they identified Giant Steps, I was intrigued. We went, we were invited for a tour. Some of you were there with the central office administration to look at the property. I thought it was a perfect fit. The price back then was much higher than what we're doing now. So I was a little put off by that price, and then things quieted down for a while. And then we came back, and then the price was adjusted, and then we started to make the negotiation. I hope that most of you have gone and taken a look at it. I think it is an amazing acquisition for our town, not only for the alternative high school, which deserves to have a permanent location like any other school in our town should have a location that they can say is their own, but also because it is a big piece of property and could fall in the hands in a way that I don't think our community would be pleased with. So when we went to view it, the Giant Steps School actually is a turnkey operation. The boilers were fairly new. The building was pretty turnkey to be able to turn this around fairly quickly. And so it just seemed very attractive to me as the town. But I wanted the town to sort of take the lead here so that we could have the alternative high school, and then we as a community could work in partnership to come up with some ideas about what to do with the rest of the property, and not right away. So we would take our time, get some cost estimates on this outbuilding that needs a lot of work, and what we would decide either to knock it down or to use it either for potentially a storage facility for DPW or some other use that could potentially be educational. But these are things I think that we can take our time to vet and review and get cost estimates, and then have a community conversation as elected members, and also let the community hear what we're thinking as well. But as was noted by the school district, this could be used for camps in the summer by our Park and Rec. It could potentially be used for field use in the future. So there's a lot of possibilities for our town, and I think the price is just right for almost 12 acres right in the heart of Southport. But I think the biggest priority is to get us a home for the alternative high school, which I think is really vitally important. So I thank you, and I will turn it back over to you, and I would imagine that the school district would like to speak, and the town attorney a little bit more closely.
Okay, thank you very much, Madam First Selectwoman. Mr. Superintendent Cummings, would you like to speak?
Certainly, and good evening, everyone. Mike Cummings, Superintendent of Schools. I want to echo Ms. Kupchak's comments about the alternative ed location. The current location, as any of you who have visited know, is really not in the best of shape. It's going to require a tremendous, if we were actually able to acquire the property, it would require a tremendous amount of money to bring it back up to expectations for a permanent school for our students. And even then, given its location, given its the geographic location on the hill, there's a number of concerns of other things that we might discover when we actually open up the walls. When the Giant Steps property became available, as Ms. Kupchak noted, its immediate our ability to immediately use it, to utilize the space. In her words, a turnkey building for our students. It's slightly smaller than our current location, but we know that we can make that work because it has other amenities that the current location does not have. And so for us, it's a great place to put this program. The program is an integral part of our offerings, our high school students. So it really is, to us, the next best thing that we can do for these students, and the acquisition will really help move that school and the district move forward. We're here tonight, joined by folks. Mr. Papageorge, our Executive Director of Maintenance and Facilities, is here to answer questions specific to the property and costs if there's desire for that.
Thank you very much. The town attorney, Mr. Baldwin, are you on the call? I think you need to help us with the resolution change.
Yes, good evening, everyone. This is Jim Baldwin. There is a slight kind of technical change to the resolution that was brought to our attention and discussed with bond counsel today. And if you want, I can read it to you, or I don't know if that's been disseminated, Madam.
It has been to the members. I sent it like maybe 7:20 this evening, so it would be in your email if your party leader has not already sent it to you.
Great. Great. So if I can just summarize what the purpose of that is. The purpose of adding about 6 words to the first paragraph is to clarify the fact that the purchase and the bonding is for not only the Wolter Fitzgerald School, but also for other town projects that may utilize the other part of the property that's not going to be used for that alternative high school. And bond counsel was not aware of that fact. And so when it was brought to his attention, he said that it has to be added to the resolution. And so that's what we've done here.
Okay. Thank you for explaining that. What's the price of the actual purchase then? Like, what's the extra amount that is for other purposes?
The purchase price for the contract is $4.9 million plus the waiver or settlement of a tax appeal filed by Giant Steps to based on, and then the other costs associated, I believe, are the fit up costs and some technical improvements that the Board of Ed needs for the building and its facilities.
Okay. Thank you. Are there any questions for any of the folks who have just spoken to you? Representative Georgiadis?
Georgiadis, District 9, through you, Madam Moderator, to Attorney Baldwin. So the total cost, $4.9 million, what's the total cost?
That is the purchase price, according to the purchase and sale agreement.
Plus the upgrade.
Yes, so in the bond resolution, I believe it's estimated, the total estimates, and there's backup to this effect for additional monies, bringing the total to $5,123,928.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Are there any other questions on this item? I guess my question was what the extra language is referring to that was added specifically, because I'm confused about the future town projects.
Yes, it's to indicate to future purchasers of the bonds that this is not just for the purchase of the Wolter Fitzgerald High School building and its facilities, nor is the entire property going to be dedicated for that purpose. Because without this additional language, that's how it could be read. That's how it would read. So this is clarifying.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
if I may, I'll segue into a conversation we had last night at the Board of Finance about the property management code, and there is a section which 35-12, which requires the RTM to designate the use for any property which is purchased under the code. And that's what kind of brought this to our attention. Mind you, I don't think that we need anything more specific than what's in here in order to satisfy or meet the requirements of that code section. But I just wanted to bring that up since it was a topic of discussion last night at the Board of Finance.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other questions, Representative Iacono?
Thank you, Madam Moderator. It's Pamela Iacono, District 8, through you to Attorney Baldwin. So just to reiterate one more time, the intent here is that the town is purchasing this property. The town owns the property. The Board of Ed, we will allocate just the use of the Wolter Fitzgerald building to the Board of Education, and the remainder of the property will remain in town control to be decided what the town wants to use that rest of that land for, and that's the clarification of the bond language, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. All right, thank you. I think some people are still a little bit confused that it's actually going to be a town. This is a town purchase for the town. The only thing the Board of Ed is getting out of this is the physical Wolter Fitzgerald building. I don't know if it makes any sense, Attorney Baldwin, at some point maybe to outline, you know, if the purchase goes through, what exact portions of the property become Wolter Fitzgerald. I don't know if, you know, it's that we have to encompass the playground and the parking lot. I don't know if any of that needs to be that detailed eventually. I know we probably don't need to go into that level right now, but eventually maybe we want to get there for splitting out maintenance costs and such, but I'm just throwing that out there for food for thought for the town moving forward.
Yes, I think that would be wise. I think that the Board of Ed is already erecting a fence to separate the Wolter Fitzgerald campus from the remainder of the properties. That would be kind of self-evident, and we can document that accordingly.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. That way everybody has a clear expectation of who's managing what portion of the property. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Representative Georgiadis.
Drew Georgiadis, District 9. Through you, Madam Moderator, to follow up on Ms. Iacono's comment, I support that completely because, as we've found in the past, what is Board of Ed and what is managed by Park and Rec needs to be specifically outlined because it can get sort of muddy. So I absolutely support Ms. Iacono's suggestion, and we'll ask the first Selectwoman and Attorney Baldwin to make sure that that's very clear. Thank you.
Representative Spolyar.
Hi, Marcy, Spolyar, District 4. Just to clarify, is the fence going around the building that's going to be for the Wolter Fitzgerald campus, or is it going around the abandoned building?
I don't know who that would be. Answer that, or Mr. Cummings.
I can answer that. Our intent would be to, Mike Cummings, Superintendent, our intent would be to fence off the abandoned building. We consider it that it, you know, in the language, it would be an attractive nuisance if we're going to be bringing students onto the property for the school. So we would want to keep people from accessing that site.
Thank you. And I'm not sure who to direct this to, Madam Moderator, but so that the fence would be town property and not school maintained. I'm not sure who.
Question.
Yeah, I don't know if Mr. Papageorge wants to speak to it. I think we had felt that if we were putting the fence up, we would maintain it again to not to lay claim to the building, but to keep others from accessing it. But I don't know if Mr. Papageorge has more information on that.
Yeah, I would say that we would maintain it just as a safety for the students on the campus. We would maintain the fence. The fence wasn't intended to be a permanent fence. It's a chain link temporary fence until other decisions are made for the other building. And then we would look at how to divide up or move forwards with that other space. It was just a temporary safety fence for the students on site.
Thank you.
Representative Britton?
Yeah, Peter Britton, District 10. Just a quick question, Jim or Angelus, whatever. How does it break out in terms of the acreage then? Is it what amount of land is going to the school as from that fence area, and what amount of the land goes to the sort of deserted building there, if you will? Is that half and half or?
I don't have the actual acreage breakout, but I can tell you when we walked it and received pricing from the fence contractors, we were looking at the abandoned building, and the parking lot in front of the abandoned building would be cordoned off from the rest of the area, which would what we thought at the time would make sense because it would make it easier for our landscapers to maintain the grass and the areas around the Giant Step property.
Okay, so it doesn't really matter the exact acres. I just wondered if it was sort of splits in half or what it is.
Yeah, if I don't know if you were on one of the tours, but if you pull in to the property as you're pulling in, you'll see the driveway to the abandoned building kind of veers off to the right, and then Giant Step stays to the left. So
yeah,
the fence would go across, would be a little bit back from that driveway veering off, and would actually have a gate in it. So if people wanted to move forwards with doing something to the other building, they'd have access to it. But it was approximately that location.
Okay, I think it's a good idea. Good.
Thank you. Representative Gerber?
Yeah, hi. I guess this is for Mr. Papageorge. I was just, do you have page 7 in front of you, the wetlands and wetland setback map? I just was hoping you could walk us through what we're looking at here, what is usable land and what can't be used if it's wetlands. So is everything inside the yellow line usable by the town and school district?
I'm going to attempt to pull it up right now. The wetlands and the setback was a drawing that was done up by the town and the engineering department, so I'm not 100% familiar with it. I do know that there was some talk about some minor setbacks with wetland area by the abandoned building, but nothing that was glaring at us that wouldn't allow some type of future use of that site and that building over there. I'm pulling it up, but I can't seem to find the colored version of it. I apologize.
Oh, okay, because I'm looking at, there's a green line, there are a bunch of green lines, and there's the yellow line that goes around property, and I was just curious, when we took the tour, I took a tour at night. There were a lot of trees. I wasn't sure, if we wanted greater use of the land, whether some of those trees can come down, whether they're, have to be preserved under wetlands. So it was hard to get a sense for what was usable of that whole property without knowing, the regulations, how they apply.
So unfortunately, I'd have to defer to the Wetlands Commission for what they would deem as a setback. I do know that when we met with Mr. Wendt from Engineering Department, he seemed to think that we could build a sizable, if the choice was to take down the other building, we could build quite a sizable building in its footprint without infringing on any of the setbacks.
Well, I was kind of thinking also in terms of like playing fields and stuff. When it looked like there were a lot of trees that wouldn't give enough space for playing fields, but when looking at this map, it kind of looks like there's a fair amount of land that when I was there, at least, it didn't seem like it was usable. That there was a lot of cover. Whether my question would be, how much of it is actually could be used by the town?
How much could be usable space? I can
Yep.
get that information to you, and I can also define that further for you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I know there is quite a bit of tree and coverage on the site, along with again mainly behind and to the left side of the abandoned building is where the wetlands would come into play.
I mean, what might be helpful, we can ask for this week, is, for someone to mark up page 7 and just like put arrows and say like what's not usable and what is.
Yep, we can work on
All right,
that.
cool. Thank you.
Representative Pettis?
Hi, Frank Batiste, District 10. I'm not sure which one of you is best to direct the question to, but I know the neighborhood's concerned about the traffic, and while the school has less faculty and students than Giant Steps, we don't really know what the future use is going to be. So I was curious if the town has looked into an alternate access to the site other than Barberry Road.
This is
I don't
Attorney
know if
Baldwin. I believe the answer to that is no. This is a transaction which we are trying to take advantage of in a timely manner. And as the first Select Woman has stated, the future use of the other part of the property is to be determined and fully vetted by town bodies, and all aspects to be taken under consideration. And that would certainly be one of them, or could be one of them, I should say. But at this point, it's really speculative.
Okay, thank you.
And to just jump in, Frank, again, the town wouldn't put anything there without fully vetting it through the community, through the neighborhood, through RTM members and Board of Finance. This would be a community conversation that would, as most town, have a lot of discussion. So there wouldn't be anything put there without a lot of notice. Just to share with you that we wouldn't be doing anything without their full knowledge and input in the future.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
Very good.
Representative Monahan?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
So understanding there are multiple potential uses for the site and very likely differing opinions, is there an order of importance in terms of what becomes of that site? In terms of community dialogue, we all know that that can be very positive, but also very difficult. And until there's actually and a use established outside of, say the school for part of it, I feel as though there could be a lot of, not arguing, but there could be a lot of, going back and forth over what becomes of the rest of the site, from whether it's a site for the DPW, whether it's school fields, whether it's, whatever, an additional space for another, 550 children for an alternative high school. I just would like to know, is there a ranking in terms of order of importance for use of that space?
So what I would say, Representative, is we are not there yet. And so we really need to do a lot of vetting, and we'll need cost estimates. We need to understand the property a bit better. We did get some initial reports from our conservation department prior, where we would have some issues and where we would have some flexibility. But again, these all need to be really vetted. And my hope is that we would get full costs out on what it would be to knock down that building, that auxiliary building, or what it would be to put a new roof on it and use it for another use. What would it cost to put a field there, and then so on and so forth, right? And so my hope is to have a whole list of options, and this could be a while. Again, we're facing some long-term issues that we have to already address. The waterfall meeting a week or so ago illustrates our long list of capital projects for our town and our education system that have been on the lists for a very long time. So I think there are some priorities So similar, I mentioned this at another meeting, similar to John Sullivan purchasing the property where Burr Street School was, I believe, in the 60s. And we didn't put a school there for a very long time. So I think this is a good purchase for us now, and we have the use for the alternative high school. And I think we need to take our time and be diligent and make sure we have everything vetted, fully vetted before we make any decisions whatsoever.
May I add one more question?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
I think that's great. I just feel as though people think we're spending an enormous amount of money right now as a town, and we are in a pandemic. And I just want to make sure that we're clear as to, the long-term plan for that, space in terms of some sort of directive before we spend a lot of money on a site. So thank you.
Just to respond to that, is that it would have cost us more than this to purchase the property that alternative high school is on right now. And it's a much less attractive property. And it would have cost a lot more money to repair it and fix it. So in my opinion, based on everything that I was given, this is a much better acquisition and a much more cost-effective acquisition for our alternative high school. And regardless if we did a single thing to that property, just having it for the school is less expensive than what we were looking at for where the school is now. And the bonus of having that property under town control, as opposed to the possibility of it being developed, God help us, into an 8-30G development, to me is much more concerning. And I think this is actually a really good price for this property.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other questions? I guess not. If any come in, please direct them to me and I'll pass them on for everyone's benefit. Thank you all for coming tonight and presenting to us about this. We'll see you Monday.
Thank you very much. Take care.
Thanks.
Thank you.
You too.
Thank you.
Our last item was to be an update from the Director of Health regarding COVID-19. Mr. Cleary is very busy because the town's receiving its first vaccines next week, and he's getting organized about that and asked if we could postpone it, which I agreed to. His job is pretty important right now. So hopefully he'll be responding to Representative Vergara's questions, and we'll get updates as time goes by. So that's it for the joint committee meeting. We're now going to sign off and call into our individual committee meetings. Thank you very much, and I'll see you Monday night.
Thanks, Karen.
You're welcome. Thanks, Jay. Bye.
Thank you.